In this episode of He Said, She Said movie reviews, we review The Bad Samaritan, a film directed by Dean Devlin and written by Brandon Boyce, starring David Tennant, Robert Sheehan, and Kerry Condon. Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of He Said, She Said movie reviews.
Hello, everybody.
I'm Tim.
And I'm April.
Today's podcast, we'll be talking about the movie Bad Samaritan.
I'm excited to talk about this movie because I absolutely love psychological thrillers.
Me too. This one was one of those movies that is up there with Jagged and Fatal Attraction and a few other ones. Before we get into that, of course, if you followed along with the first episode, we're going to talk about the trailers that we saw before the movie. So before Bad Samaritan, the first trailer we saw was for the next Deadpool movie. Hey, if you like the first Deadpool movie, which I thoroughly enjoyed, it was really great seeing a Marvel action hero movie for adults. Deadpool was hilariously funny, great action, great CGI. I think this is going to be another one of those. I'm really excited about Deadpool too. I'm trying not to get my expectations up because when I do have my expectations up for a movie, most often I get very disappointed, but I am excited about this movie coming up. And April didn't see the first Deadpool, and I doubt she's going to see this one. I'm going to try to drag her kicking and screaming so you can get the female perspective on this one. So hopefully she'll go with me. The second trailer was for a movie called Upgrade. Hadn't seen this trailer before. This looks kind of interesting. This is a futuristic sci-fi movie where I can't remember who the actor is in this, but something bad happens in his life. I think maybe his wife gets killed or something like that. It wasn't clear in the trailer. And he gets a computer chip implanted in him that where he basically, this computer chip does everything for him, and he has conversations with the computer chip, and the computer chip can take over his body. It looks
really good. Don't give away the whole plot. It looks great.
Yeah, it does. It looks like it's going to be a good action, futuristic sci-fi movie. So it should be good. The next one is Action Point. And if you're a fan of Jackass and Johnny Knoxville, it's another Johnny Knoxville movie. Like, what was it? Bad Grandparent? No, that was the De Niro movie.
Bad Grandpa.
Bad Grandpa, yeah. So this, another Johnny Knoxville, doing all of his own stunts and a typical Jackass Johnny Knoxville movie. If you like that style of movie, you'll have fun with this one. To me, this will probably be a wait for video movie. The next trailer was for a movie called Kin. This is another sci-fi, somewhat futuristic movie. It's where a young boy, when I say young boy, about 12 years old, he finds he sees some guys come in from a ship or something, and they accidentally leave a weapon behind, a futuristic gun, and he picks up the gun. His brother gets out of prison and gets hooked back up with the criminals, that element that he originally went to prison
It
for.
also looks really good.
And the boy uses the futuristic gun to help his brother out.
And it really looks interesting.
And the last movie is Hotel Artemis with Jodie Foster.
Now, I think this one's going to be great. It's completely futuristic. It's a secret emergency room for criminals. But as you know, anything with Jodie Foster is phenomenal. Just the whole take on this movie, I cannot wait to see it.
Yeah, we see everything with Jodie Foster. What's been maybe 10 years since her last movie. So but we're both looking forward to this one. It should be good. So once again, the movie that we saw this week was Bad Samaritan. This movie was directed by Dean Devlin. I think this is only his second director debut or turn as a director. He did Geostorm, but he's a major Hollywood producer, and he's produced movies like Independence Day, both movies, the 1998 Godzilla, and the Stargate TV series. And it's a movie written by Brandon Boyce. And he's primarily an actor, but he's done a few writing assignments, and most notably the TV series Let the Right One In. This is a movie, as April said in the beginning, it's a psychological thriller. It's about a pair of burglars who work as valet people, guys who do valet at a restaurant, and they stumble upon a woman when they take the keys and they go to the houses when the people check into the restaurant, and they rob the house. And during one of those, they stumble upon a woman who is being held captive in the home that they intended to rob. The movie stars David Tennant, who is playing the antagonist, and the main star is Robert Sheehan, plays one of the valet guys. He's our protagonist in the movie.
And I thought it was actually a really good movie. It was well thought out. It had several turns in it. But what I liked about it is they didn't go overboard with violence and torture and anything like that. But what I really enjoyed, I mean, there was some scare to it, and it'll show you. If you've ever heard the saying about be careful about wronging the wrong person, that's something you'll definitely see in this movie.
I thought David Tennant, who plays the antagonist, he did a phenomenal job. I don't know if you're familiar with David. He was in the BBC series Broadchurch, where he played a police detective in a small English town for 3 seasons. He was phenomenal in that, and he was also the antagonist in the first Netflix Jessica Jones series. To me, he plays an incredibly good bad guy, and he's kind of freaky in this role, and I thoroughly enjoyed him. Very believable as a slightly OCD unhinged person. So
yeah, it was spooky, thrilling, makes you think. There's just a lot of things about this movie. And I'm kind of hard on psychological thrillers as well, just because it's one of my favorite types of movies. But I just appreciated several things about it, actually, from how even the victim, if you will, was a strong woman herself. I appreciated that take on that. But it's worth seeing. I thought long and hard. Is this, would you want to see this at home or at the theater? And I say go to the theater. It was worth it.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's a go to the theater type of movie. One of the other surprising things for April and I about this was this one was also filmed in and around Portland, Oregon, which is someplace where we lived for almost 10 years. So we're big fans of the Pacific Northwest, and this does a good job of showcasing Portland.
Yeah, it was nice to see home, and kind of special that our daughter is getting to go back there real soon. So that's neat.
One of the things I know April talked about real quickly was, and this is something I really appreciated in this movie, is there wasn't a whole lot of unnecessary gratuitous violence or gross scenes in this movie. Yes, this movie, I think, it leaves a lot to the imagination. It lets your imagination run with things instead of showing them, which I actually really appreciated.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well. There were several places in the movie where you either weren't sure what was going to happen or you thought you were sure. And then all of a sudden there was a change. And of course there was a couple where, and I scream. I have a bad habit of screaming, just when I'm caught off guard. So I always feel sorry for anyone near us. There were several of those.
I thought the movie was also well written and well directed. The continuity was very good. There weren't any of those places in the movie where you scratched your head and said there was a whole plot there. How did we get there, or anything like that? I highly recommend this movie to anybody who likes psychological thrillers. So
I do as well.
Back to our rating, if, giving it 5 stars, being fantastic, 4, great, good movie, 3, an average, great movie, 2, go see it in video, and 1, ignore it. To me, this movie kind of gets 2 ratings from me. 1, I think as an overall movie, in just the sake of movies, I think it was a solid 4. But for me, as far as psychological thrillers are concerned, it was a 5.
I'm going to rate it as a 4. I think that it was solid. I enjoyed it. And the way I sometimes judge a movie at the very end is, did it keep my attention every minute of the entire movie? And it did.
Oh, yeah. One other thing that I wanted to add about this movie, which I really liked about the movie, is this was one of those movies, it had a very satisfying ending. It didn't leave you like, oh, there could be a sequel or anything. It definitely had an ending, which to me was very satisfying.
I agree, especially after the ride it took us on.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us again. And on the next episode, we're going to be reviewing Melissa McCarthy's Life of the Party.